moment, the clouds parted and a magical city appeared in the distance below. "New York!" they exclaimed. "We made it!" But before they could make their descent, a fierce wind began to blow. The surrounding clouds swirled and churned and transformed into James's worst nightmare. It was the rhino, and it was charging after them. Each huff was rumbling thunder, each puff like a hurricane wind. Rain pelted the peach as it swayed violently in the storm. "James! James! Do something!" cried the insect. James was frightened, but he knew what he had to do. He sent everyone up into the rigging while he ran down to face the rhino once and for all. If this journey had taught him anything, it was that he had nothing to be afraid of. It was like his mother had always told him. Try and look at things another way. He could now see the rhino for what it really was, and he shouted, "You're just a lot of smoke and noise. I'm not afraid anymore." There was a flash of lightning, and the rhino suddenly exploded with a thunderous roar. The peach shook violently, and the wooden fence unwrapped and whipped through the air, slicing through the strings. The seagulls flew up into the sky with the insects clinging to the strings for dear life. James and the giant peach plummeted towards the ground to an uncertain fate. All he could do was watch as the ladybird, the centipede, the spider, the earthworm, the glowworm and the old green grasshopper disappeared into the dark night sky. Blam! The peach had landed. But where? James crawled on top of the peach to take a look around. There was a city below, but when he checked his brochure, something didn't look right. Where was the Empire State Building? Little did he know he was on top of it. But the people of New York City knew. They had spotted the peach stuck on a skyscraper like a strawberry on a pencil. A police captain called for the biggest crane in the city, which lowered the peach to the ground. Throngs of people gathered below, snapping photographs, pointing and staring, jabbering to one another. It was all very exciting, but James was sad that his insect friends weren't there to share this moment with him. His only hope was that they were somewhere safe. When James made it to the ground, he was instantly bombarded with questions. It was very frightening for a small boy, but all that wasn't half as frightening as what happened next. James heard a familiar spluttering sound, and when the crowds parted, he saw something he hoped he would never see again. Ant Spiker and Ant Sponge. They were so angry they had driven their smashed car all the way across the ocean to take James and the peach back to that hideous house on the hill. But this was not the same James they used to boss about and beat and work to death. This was a different James. A James who now knew that if you believe in yourself, marvellous things can truly happen. "I won't go," declared James furiously. "Not me and not the peach." The ants were furious. They charged after James with axes from a nearby fire engine. But before they could do him any harm, the insects appeared in the sky. They floated down and landed on top of the peach. The ants, who if you remember hated insects, backed away in utter terror. James lassoed them with Miss Spider's thread, and they were hoisted into the air as the bugs wrapped them into a giant cocoon. A deafening cheer rang through the streets of New York. "Yay!" as the evil ants were carried away. "Hey!" one boy shouted up at James. "What's your name?" James's face lit up with the biggest smile he had ever smiled in a long time. "It's James," he said with pride. "Can we eat some of your peach?" another boy asked. "Sure," came the reply. "It won't keep forever." Lots of children rushed to get a bite of the delicious giant peach. They ate that peach all the way down to the stone and set it up in Central Park as a permanent home where James lived with his beloved insect friends. They had all found a better life in the Big Apple. People of all ages came pouring in just to see it and to hear the tales of their magnificent adventures on the giant peach. And James Henry Trotter, who was once the saddest and loneliest little boy you ever could find, now had all the friends in the world. And that is the end of our story. And I'll be back with another story after the Easter break.